All right, welcome back. It's been a good while since we had another one of these, but we're back and we're back strong. We got Kalibr this week, which is fucking crazy.
How's it going, man?
Oh, we're chilling, we're chilling. So yeah, how you been with all the new shit and all that? You talking about a show you played recently?
Yeah. So I just played Euphoric Fest in Tacoma. That was super fun. Had a great time. Met bunch of awesome people. Really loved going out there. I haven't been to many Seattle shows, and I'm hoping to, or Seattle Tacoma shows. So hoping to go out that way more, and start getting involved a little more out in that area, and start expanding from there. Kind of see where it all goes. So it was
Nice.
fun. Can't wait for more.
Yeah, no, I love hearing that too, because yeah, I grew up in Seattle, so it's dope kind of,
Yeah,
seeing stuff
cool.
still happening up there. um, so how did you get your name? Like, what's the meaning or story behind it or something like that?
So my job, so I'm in the US Army. I was at a training. It's actually the story's so funny. But how I got my name was I was actually on a training mission. So I was doing this long, like week-long FTX, and we were out there with some British soldiers. And
Shit.
the way he looks over at me and he goes like, "Hey mate, what caliber rounds do your rifle shoot?" And I was like, "Oh dude, like," and in my head I was like, "Oh, he said caliber," and that sounded really cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And like just a couple weeks before that, my buddies were like, "Hey dude, you ever thought about DJing? You ever thought about like being an artist or anything like that?" And I was like, not really. But like when it's just such a weird story. But I was sitting with that guy and I was like, "You say that again?" And he says it again. And I'm like,
Like, damn,
that's
just
an
like,
okay, cool. Cause I was trying to think of a name anyway. I was
yeah.
like, well, what does that hit? Well, it hits on my job,
Hmm.
kind of stuff I like. And it's just a real life story that I could be like, hey, that's how I got the name. That's how it stuck. And I was like, well, I never thought about branding or anything like that. I was just like, that's a
Yeah.
cool name, man. I'll go by that. And people will, be like, oh, it's a military name or it's a gun name. I'm like, no, not really. It's just the name that I chose to represent like my style and what I do, and heavy caliber sound. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of
No, it
the
definitely sounds
thing.
like
So
some big gun shit every time it drops out. It's just super.
no, I definitely go for a lot of that. And there was a lot of that in Tacoma, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. How have you felt you've changed since starting music? Like, kind of
Oh
what working
man.
on music changed in you and shit.
Um, so I've went through a lot of life experiences that have shaped my musical career. When I first started, I was getting over a breakup and stuff, and I
Mm-hmm.
was dealing with that. And my buddies brought me out to this little cabin in the woods, and like they're like, "Hey, dude, like you know how to play music or anything? You got music on your laptop?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And I've been practicing on virtual DJ and trying to, understand how to like DJ basically, and like they hooked me up with my laptop into a guitar amplifier,
Wow.
and they're like, "Go nuts, man." I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? But apparently they all ended up loving what I played. It was like 2015, so it was like a lot of trap music like
Yeah.
Slander and Nightmare, and all the original like OG trap guys back when 2015 the heavy hybrid trap stuff was starting to hit.
Yeah.
And that was really fun. And that's kind of where I was like, dude, like I love this. I
Mm-hmm.
love this. It was just literally a bunch of my friends like dancing to this music, and I'm sitting there just like curating this like essentially a playlist because I didn't know how to DJ very well at the time. But it's kind of how I got into it, and I was having a great time with it, and everybody loved it, and I'll never forget how that started. But as things kind of progressed for me, I was like, okay, well, I want to learn to DJ now when I got home from Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, well, now I'm home. What do I need to do that? So I bought a controller, I bought some speakers, and I started my DJ learning process on
Mm-hmm.
Twitch. I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to need people to watch and tell
Nice.
me how I'm doing.
That's
So I was like,
smart.
started off on Twitch, and I did that for, oh man, 4 years, made it to an affiliate status, which is kind of cool. I worked really hard to get there, and started getting subscribers and all that fun stuff. And then I was
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. And then somebody one day, he's like, hey man, do you like make music? And I was like, no, bro, I'm a DJ. And then
Yeah.
they're like,
Yeah.
well, you can make music too. And like, that's a cool thing. So I started diving into that. And like over time, it was just really like, hey, this is how you do this is how you do that. So I learned music production through Twitch. So people like
Okay.
Sharks, people like Basic, people
Hmm.
like, oh my gosh, Famous Spear, the
Okay.
Whittler, um, a bunch of those streamers who would stop in my stream, or who would I'd go to their stream, because at the time music wasn't really that popular on Twitch. It wasn't that
Yeah.
big of a thing. There was like a handful of DJs, and I learned from all of those guys who were getting really successful really quickly. So that's how I kind of picked up on DJing and started doing that. But I don't know, as far as changing me, I would say that, I mean, it 100% changed everything in my life for the better. I
Oh
wouldn't
yeah.
have it any other way. Music has been the thing that's gotten me through my lowest points, and it's been definitely some of my highest points in life, for sure.
I feel that.
And shows, especially, man. Once I started playing shows, it was like, that's a new energy that I had just never felt before. And like now I just can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Yeah, no, it's great. Damn. Um, what would you say has been like the hardest part about specifically making music like a career instead of just kind of like a hobby?
Well, I think time was an issue for a while, and went through some life changes, and then I got a lot more time. So
Yeah.
once that kind of changed, it put things in perspective for me a little bit, and tried to really sit down and focus on, hey, like, these things are important. This is your work life. This is your music life. Because I work two other jobs, and I run a graphic design business on the side.
Damn.
So on top of
Busy.
all of that, I have my music project, which I'm now starting to really put at the forefront of everything I'm doing. And I think um, that alone, and prioritizing those things and saying, hey, I have to let off on something I really want to do, because I really want to put something else I really want to do
Mm-hmm.
at the forefront. That's kind of been hard, like prioritizing and understanding that, hey, if you want to make this a real deal, you got to really focus on the big things, and focus on like the networking side of things, and really working on your socials, and really building on your music catalog. And that stuff all
Mm-hmm.
takes time, and it takes a lot of dedication. And props to the guys who are out there killing it and just making it and grinding through this industry, because it's not easy. And just like the piece of advice I would give anybody who's doing this is just do it. Just grab the bull by the horns and just do it, man. Just go in, give it 110%, and just dedicate everything you can to it, because that is how you'll do it. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not really in a position to say that, but I'm doing okay for myself right now.
Oh
I'm really
yeah.
enjoying the path and the journey. And um, yeah, man, like I think that kind of answers the question a little bit.
Yeah. No,
So
definitely, definitely. Yeah, no, that definitely speaks to me too, because that's something I definitely struggle with. I'm like, okay, I should build a set, or download new music, or work on a track or something, and then someone hits me up, you're like, yo, let's go do this tonight, and I'm like, all right, let's go, and then just do that too many nights. And yeah, no, I'm definitely struggling with just kind of sitting down, zeroing in on it, and
yeah,
being like, nah, this is what I want to do this for life. You gotta start it now. Like,
yeah. Oh, I mean, and like I'm 29 years old. Like I started this back when I was like 25, and I was like, wow, I already missed that, like the initial young guy curve kind of deal.
damn,
Like started a
yeah.
little later in the process than most people kind of do, because most people are starting like 19, 20, and they're
Mm-hmm.
really starting to focus on like their sound design and really getting that built up. But a lot of people do start later. And to those guys who do start later, again, I just want to say, like, it doesn't matter.
Does
Like,
not.
I mean, I'm 29, it's not even that old. But like,
Yeah.
for the people who want to start in their 30s, like 40s, do it. Just do it. Go
Oh
nuts.
yeah.
Have fun. It's about fun at the end of the day. And that's how I look at it. Every single piece of this process is fun. And there's always that saying in music, and a lot of things really. It's about the journey, not the destination. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of how I view a lot of this too. It's if I'm enjoying the path and making friends along the way and life experiences and changing for the better, man,
Yeah.
what else is there?
It's like already winning.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Oh yeah. When starting out, did like friends and family approve or support your kind of decision? And how did you deal with the, you need like a real job kind of talk, or how many other people are trying to do this if you got that talk?
So I never really got that because I never really put it at the forefront. It was always something I was doing in the back that nobody ever knew about. I was
Okay.
doing Twitch in like my spare time. I'd get a couple hours here and there. I'd learn to, I'd go mix for a couple hours and try to figure out after that, like, hey, like what I do good, like, can I get better at this? And I go watch YouTube videos and try to figure out how to fix those things. No one ever really was like, well, I take that back. I think there was a few times my dad was like, oh, don't quit your day job. Don't quit your day job. I was like, yeah, no, I won't. Still haven't.
Yeah.
I'm still, being financially stable is a huge thing in my personal life, and being capable to support my hobbies and do these things does require money. So it's like I've found out a really great way to work but also be able to dedicate as much time to this as I can. So for a lot of people who are like, you need to give up everything 100% music, it's like, no,
Mm,
I don't think so. And I think if you're dedicated and you're motivated to find the time to do it, and also to focus on your career and your family life and all that stuff, but like it's very very possible. I mean, I am single, so I say that about the family life thing, but like it is there's time out there, and like what better way to distract yourself from all the stuff going on in the world than trying, instead of getting involved in all that, just like dedicate yourself to this one cause that's all you and everything that you love and care about in one big package. And that's kind of how I view it. And yeah, I think my dad said a few things, but that was about it. But at the end of
yeah.
the day, he's like, hey, send me your music. Like a couple days ago, he's like, hey, send me your music, I want to hear it. Some coworkers at work the other day were like,
Nice.
you do what? And I was like, yeah, I'm a DJ, and like I'm the boss of where I work. So they're like, you do what? I was
You're
like,
like, wait.
yeah, and I showed him a picture of the whole mask setup and everything, and they're like, that's you? And I was like, yeah, man.
Oh, that's
So,
dope.
but
Love that.
mostly it's just been never ending support. Even in the Twitch world, that's where I learned about, if somebody supports you, you support them right back, and you build that relationship, and you cultivate like friendships that way. And I'm not like out here trying to be like, oh yeah, dude, let me slide in your DMs and, oh, here's my new song. Like, here's this
Yeah.
and that. It's like, no, I don't roll that way. I hate that. If somebody does that to me, I'm like, okay, cool, man. Like, great, it's a neat song and everything, but like, what are you trying to do?
Yeah. What are you getting at?
Like most of the time, when I introduce myself to people online or whatever, I'm like, hey man, like, you want to play a game? I'm all like, chill. Like, I'd like to, hang out, get to know you. Who are you?
Yeah.
Because I mean, the internet's a crazy place now.
Yeah.
One of the groups that I've hung out with, I got a lot of friends in some discords and stuff, and Viper Active's Discord. I got so many good friends in there that I met just because one of my other really good friends, Dury or Triggerbyte, he introduced me, and I kind of was like, hey, like, just starting to build friendships with all these guys. And now, man, these guys are like ride or die. They're great. I love them all. And we've hung
Nice.
out in real life a few times, and like, man, these guys are awesome, and they make some great music. So shout out to all those homies and much love to them, because
Oh yeah.
honestly, without them, I definitely wouldn't be where I'm at. They've taught me so much, and we've all taught each other things and shared that knowledge. So it's been absolutely awesome and influential to be a part of that group. So it
Yeah.
was a
No, it's
long-winded way to respond to that question, but
yeah, no, it's perfect. It's inspirational shit. It's big part why I do the interviews is, I mean, you actually put the spotlight on people, like you deserve it, out here killing shit. And also for the other like producers and DJs starting out that like need to hear this shit, hear people are like struggling in the same spots of them, and get past it and make something out of it and all that.
yeah.
Let's see. So I feel like you kind of brushed up on it. You're talking about doing like virtual art and stuff like that, but like what kind of hobbies would you say, or career paths were you going down before music was, a priority?
So, I mean, obviously the first and foremost career path that I went down was, um, so I'm a military officer. I went through college and I graduated. I commissioned in the U.S. Army, and
Awesome.
really love that career path. And I've been enjoying that ever since. It's presented me with opportunities that I would have never thought possible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Great time, love it, and really wonder like how long I'm actually going to be in. So I don't know. I might stay in for 20. I might not. Who knows? But
Yeah.
other than that, I had a graphic design business idea that I wanted to start, and it's kind of flourished a little bit with the new one that I just started I think a year ago, maybe. It's called 50 Cal Designs. I do logos, graphic art for artists. And my big thing is to work one-on-one with the artist, because I know how
Mm-hmm.
challenging it is to find what you need, and also just be like, hey man, like here's some money. And then they're like, oh, here's your art. And you're like, I didn't get to say anything about like what I wanted. They're like, nope, don't care. Here's your art. And if you want revisions, it's going to be like $50 per revision. And you're
Yeah.
like, cool, man, great. That don't help me at all.
Yeah.
So my thing with my design business that I think is really cool is I'm very personable with my
Mm-hmm.
clients, and I like to work with them. Like in Discord, I'll be like, hey man, hop in Discord. We can talk about what we want to do, how we want to move forward with this. And like my degree from in college, I got a Bachelor of Fine Arts in graphic design.
Oh
So
shit.
that's where I kind of was like, I'm going to be a graphic designer. I'm going to make it work. I wanted to actually be a graphic artist for record labels. That's what I
Okay.
wanted to do. And that's kind of why I pursued that. And I was like, I'm going to, do that side of the industry. I can't really make it in the music career. I will just really focus on graphics. Never in a million years did I think I'd be sitting here making dubstep. I never thought that would be how this turned out, but I'm happy it did, because I love it. And I met so many cool people through it, and,
Oh yeah.
other hobbies and stuff like, I don't know, like running, working out, outdoor sports, hiking, like
Nice.
bunch of stuff. Really
Yeah.
been on the workout grind lately. Really fun, and super inspired by a lot of these other DJs and artists. Like we got like Kaiwachi and
Oh
company and
yeah.
all these dudes who are just slaying the gym. And I'm just like, damn, man, those results, like props to them. They put in the work and they're killing it in the music game, and they're killing it in
Mm-hmm.
their personal health, it looks like. So, that's kind of what I really want to do. And being in military, I also got to stay in shape. So like if I can make
Exactly.
that fun and like kind of equate those things and make them all relate in like this big pot of things that's all important and it all works towards the music, works for me. And that's kind of how I move forward with saying, hey, I can justify doing this and this, and it all is for music at the end of the day. So
Nice. No, that's honestly a great way, kind of have it all lead back there, and just find
'cause at
how
the end of the
many other
day,
things it helps
yeah,
out along the way.
yeah, because at the end of the day, I mean, music is technically still my hobby. So like, yeah, that counts as a hobby in itself. So if I can make all my other hobbies trail into this one major hobby and be all the same thing, then I've only got one hobby, and it's just music and then work. So it's pretty simple when you break it down that way, and it makes it easier to think about when you're trying to accomplish things.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love that. Oh, it's one of my favorite ones. What is the craziest thing you ever witnessed, either playing or like in the crowd at a rave? Just something that happened. It just left you like, what the fuck? Did that just happen? Like,
So I don't know how explicit we can get on this show,
oh, send it, full send.
but so that's so funny. So I was playing a show in Portland.
Nice.
We're about to keep it real weird here with this one.
I'm with it. That's why I asked this one.
So the craziest thing I've ever seen was I was playing a set and I was dropping pretty much an opening set, but I was dropping like chill rhythm, kind of, stuff like that. And then I was actually the headliner of that show was Triggerbyte.
Nice.
And he was, just hanging out in the front row, kind of watching, hanging out. We're all vibing, chill rhythm, and I start playing one of my songs because I was like, okay, I'm going to transition this because I think After Me was Contact was playing. So I wanted to get kind of into that dubstep vibe.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, cool. So I started playing one of my songs, and like there wasn't many people there at the time. It was like maybe 20, 30 people.
Okay.
And that alone, you're like, well, okay, this is fun. I'm really just playing my heart out to 20, 30 people. But you're just starting out, kind of getting in the whole, oh, you got to get over that. That's part of the deal.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
after kind of, coming to terms with that, I was looking at other things and I was like, what are they doing? And like, I just see these two women in the back, and they're just like kissing each other and making out and all that stuff. And I'm up there, and I got my hand in the air, we're going
Like,
nuts.
oh, shit.
And then they just both drop down on the floor and just start going at it. And I was like,
damn,
this is an empty dance floor. What is going on? And so everybody just starts looking at him, and everybody looks back at the DJ and me. And I was like, what's going on? And like, just still raging. And they're looking back at this group of people on the floor, just doing whatever they're doing. And then they all start just looking back and forth really quickly. And they're just like, yeah. They're just like freaking out, and these people are just having sex on the floor in the middle of a club. And I'm like, okay, so is the security guard gonna get these people? No. No.
Just let it happen.
Just plurring it out, man. I don't know what's going on, but I was just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna finish out my set and just kind of look the other way or whatever. That was probably the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, that's
in life,
that's crazy.
Actually, because I was like, wow, you have some guts to do that right there.
Yeah.
And I was like, good for you, I guess. Express yourself however you want to. If music, I don't judge.
If you're vibing out that hard, fuck it.
No, it's absolutely it was awesome and hilarious. And I just remember Trigger by looking back at me like
is this actually happening?
It's pretty wild, man. It's pretty wild.
That's why I love asking that question, because you just get the craziest responses and shit you can even think of. Like,
and then this last show, just for a bonus one, I had there wasn't that many. A bunch of people went to go get drinks or something, and then there wasn't that many people left on the rail. They were kind of pushed to the back of the set, and I was just throwing down super freaking heavy dubstep. And the one person on the rail is a furry. They're in the full furry costume, and they're just getting it, man. And I was just like looking at that. I looked at my photographer, and I was like, yo, go get some photo. He pulls up and he gets the photo and the video of that guy just going ham on the rail. And I was just like, that is awesome. Just a lone rail and a furry just chilling on the rail. And I was just like, what's going on, man?
I don't know what it
another
is.
Funny thing. It was just, weird things that happen at shows, man. I totally understand that. It's awesome. That's where the cool experiences come from. So
that's I don't know what it is though, but every time someone is full furry outfit, I'm talking helmet and everything, they always are getting it one of the most. They're always just out there, just not.
Oh my god, dude! I saw a lot, and at Base Canyon too. I was like, aren't you guys hot in that stuff?
Yeah,
that is not easy to move around in. I wear a mask, and I'm like, God, man, it's hot in here.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how that must feel,
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Fuck. So how has making, a career out of music, or, just devoting your life to it, kind of affected relationships with friends or family? And how do you, I feel like you kind of brushed on this a little bit already, but how do you juggle working on music for hours and then spending time with friends and just having a good healthy mix of both?
That one hits. Let me tell you. Music was a really big reason on why my last relationship didn't work out. And we were together for 4 years. It's kind of a big deal, and we were, kind of moving forward in that direction and to, the next step, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I don't feel like music was the only reason. Obviously, there was some other stuff going on, but music played a key role in really distracting me from some things that I needed to learn how to balance better. So I really did devote that time to music and all that. And, there were some things I could have maybe balanced out better. But I didn't. And, things just didn't happen to work out. And I do kind of say music has a play in that, because I was always like, I need to make music. I need to get on my computer. I need to do this. And I spend like 8 to however many hours on a computer. And it was like, well, this is all for this future career that I want. And I really want to make it. And I know it takes time. And so there was a little bit of challenge with understanding on both sides of like, hey, this is that important, or hey, like, maybe I should focus on other things or things like that. As far as hanging out with, like, on the friends side of the house, all my other friends are mostly musicians, so they get it, or they're guitarists, or they're band members, or they're people who work for shows or media. So like, I know a lot of people in that industry, and a lot of people are, really, really good friends. And they get it. They're like, oh, dude, you're going to go spend like 8 hours on music? Hit me up when you're done, bro.
Fuck yeah, bro. Like, do that shit.
Sick. So
yeah,
I would say to anybody who, I guess, just kind of double back on the other thing, just to say to anybody out there who's, kind of in a situation where they feel like music is taking over their life and you're having trouble balancing either a relationship or your work commitment or things like that. Focus on the things that are going to directly affect your life at the moment, because you can work on music all day long, and you can sit on it, and you can send it to labels, and they can look at it and say, oh, you're not quite there yet, or whatever. And then you'll be heartbroken, and you'll be like, oh no, like I spent so much time on this. But if you give that up and you take that shot right away when you're not necessarily ready or set up to do so, you could really damage your life and your career by not planning those steps. So like for me, I know personally that I'm not ready to step away from a job to make music. I'm not at that level yet. Hopefully one day that would be great. I would love that. And that's what I'm aiming for. But to those people out there who work in that 9 to 5 and really killing it in that and coming home and making music, that's the best. Enjoy that. Make your money, enjoy your hobby, spend time with your friends and your family, and really get out there and just live life and enjoy music. Because once music kind of takes over your life and everything kind of starts revolving around that, yeah, it's really fun. But then there's those aspects of things where you're like, oh man, I have to go sound design for like 6 hours today because I need to come up with a new EP, or I need to come up with new songs or something like that. And a lot of it just really comes down to that balancing act. And I would just say, like, your family and your relationships are extremely important, and do everything you can to not neglect those, but they also need to understand what you're trying to do. And that does take a lot of time and commitment, and it can be very challenging. But what they need to understand is that if you are passionate about it and you love what you do and what you want to do, you'll make it work, and it will be worth all the time. And then on the back end, you'll definitely make it up to them. Because I mean, how awesome would it be? Oh yeah, you remember when you said like, hey, why are you spending 8 hours a day? Well, come out to Fiji with me and play the show, or come out to Hawaii. Let's vibe out together. I got VIP at a nightclub or whatever. Like, they're like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. And then you're like, well, that's not really why I do it. But I mean, there's some cool things that come from all that time and dedication.
Oh yeah.
And then also getting released on labels is huge. And working with those kind of things and labels and A&Rs and all that fun stuff from massive labels that you never even thought were achievable. When those things become achievable, you're like, wow, I am so glad I put in the time. I'm so glad I put in the effort to all of this. And it's just absolutely amazing once all those things start coming together. I will say one thing that I never thought was possible or that I would ever see was, you know, dealing with Excision in any way. So I know Excision just opened up his new Subsidia label.
Yeah.
And I love that whole label. Like it's got a lot of great music, a lot of great artists on there. It's really fun. I got some homies that are on there. And so I took a shot just a couple weeks ago and I sent him one of my songs and he downloaded it. And I was like,
like, oh shit, here we
it's
go.
happening. Like, so
it's
I mean,
starting.
things like that really kind of motivate you to keep working hard and keep putting in that time. And again, still don't forget to balance everything else, but you know, things like that make it that much more fun and enjoyable when you see cool things like that happen. So we'll see what happens with that. But
yeah, no, that's crazy. Big props on that too. That's
thanks,
honestly massive. But yeah, no, I definitely feel that because I mean, like you said, there's other components, but I feel like that's also a big part of why my last relationship ended as well. Because, you know, I'd go to play some random desert festival in Cali.
Oh yeah.
And I'd be gone for a couple of nights. And at the time, my girlfriend, you know, didn't care so much for staying out in the desert with a bunch of looks. So she'd stay home, but then she'd be like, well, you know, you're going out every week gone, you know, for nights on end and shit. And it definitely caused some things. But at the same time, you know, I'm playing shows and I'm just like, look how much fun this is. Like I don't want to stop this. But
yeah,
no, it was definitely a little struggle there for a little bit. Let's see. Oh, have you ever messed up while playing a show? And if so, how did you handle it and like move on?
So for me, yes, I have. I've messed up many times, many times during shows. And some have been atrocious, some have been minor, and you would never even know. But to me, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm a complete failure. I can't believe I just did that. Like, you know, everything from leaving a filter completely open on a drop where the just cuts out all the low end to, you know, small EQ adjustments that you're like, yeah, maybe I could have done that better.
Yeah.
Loading up the wrong track, but it still goes off. Like things like that. I mean, everybody's going to mess up. If you're not messing up, you're not human. And like, I mean, that goes against everything my brand says because I'm supposed to be a robot or something. But I don't know. But yeah, no. And honestly, like if I hear somebody mess up during a set, I've heard so many sets that are flawless. I kind of like hearing somebody mess up because I'm like, oh shit, they must be, I know how they're feeling. I know what they're feeling, that like heat, that intensity.
The
butterflies. Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh man, did someone hear that? And I'm like, I heard you, man. But I props to you for being up there and trying and doing what you're doing because there's a reason not everybody's up there. It's hard and there's a lot of stuff you got to know and practice. So props to anybody who's playing shows because it is not easy. And to the people out there like, oh yeah, it's easy. It's like, well, maybe you should spend a little more time on your set because it's definitely not easy.
Yeah.
If you're trying to put together something that's memorable.
Yeah.
So
and if you're pressing play and fading shit in and out, it's like, yeah, it's kind of hard to fuck that up.
Yeah.
But
I mean, but either way, if anybody's getting up on stage, props to you.
Yeah, so. You're just still murking it. It's insane. Yeah, no, that's the most like weirdest feeling, like right before, at least for me, my first show. I just remember like the most intense mixture of like excitement and then like nervousness, being like, oh dude, I hope something happens and like they have to shut the show down. But at the same time, I'm like, no, I want to play right now. Let me get up there. And it's just like this weird
so I played
opposite ends.
So I played this one show and the power system wasn't set up right. So I guess this kind of goes into messing up, but the power of the CDJs and the speakers was blowing the circuit breaker. And no, I was not redlining. No, I wasn't doing anything crazy. I was literally pushing the volume up and it would hit like 75% on the fader. And like, you'd have to leave it there. Otherwise you'd blow the system. The whole restaurant would blow a fuse. And so of course, you know, the first 10 songs or whatever, I got that rocked to 100% just because that's how it goes at any other
You're
club or
just
venue.
feeling it, yeah.
And now it's like, oh, well, I guess I can't do that because I did that. And like, then the whole place went, and I was like, what's going on? And like, it gets super quiet and
Oh
you're just like,
no.
oh, that's awkward.
Yeah.
You try to restart everything. And then after I restarted everything, I did it again. And it's like, and they're just like looking at me like, what are you doing up there? I'm like, I'm not doing anything. Like, I'm just playing.
It should be able to do this.
Yeah, no. And apparently we found out they wired something wrong. So every time
Okay.
they ran it, it was blowing the fuse. So
Damn.
not great.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
That'd be dope. Not dope, but just sit there like you go to drop it. It's just like too much. It's just everything.
Oh no, it was like
shuts
every
down.
drop would hit and it would just be like, it's
like sorry, I'm just going too hard.
Yeah, I was the last set of the night too. So they basically just shut me down early.
Damn.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
So how do you deal with self-doubt, if you have any? And if not, what kind of mindset are you in that makes you, confident to the point of not feeling that kind of like, when you're listening to someone else's music and you're kind of like, God damn, like people are really doing that shit? Like,
So self-doubt's an interesting topic for me. I had a lot of times where I was like, man, my production's not that great. I'm really not getting that many plays on SoundCloud. I definitely don't have any following on Spotify. Like, those thoughts enter every producer artist's head, no matter whether you say you're strong, you're the strongest person in the world. Those thoughts enter your head. I don't care who you are. Being a leader in the Army has really instilled a bunch of values in me that I find to be completely life benefiting. The ability to look at a situation and break down things and understand the complexities of, multiple avenues of how to deal with a situation, or what the long-term end goal is going to be, or, anything like that. I really think that for me, when I come into those situations, I just have to say, hey, yeah, you aren't that good yet, but you will be that good. You just have to take your time and you got to put in the effort, because if you're given 110%, you can't be mad at yourself, because that's everything you have. And that's why I put in 110%, and I try to, because everything I got is everything I got. And I'm not going to be mad at myself for shorting anything, because I know I'm not. And those values of always giving 110% and trying your hardest and being the best human that you can be is how I like to live my life. And I really feel like that motivation to do well and succeed is just bred in me. Like I feel like it's at the core of my being to give everything I have in all that I do. So as cheesy as that might sound, it really has been the way I live my life, and I think it really works well. And I would recommend to anybody else who's struggling is just give it what you got, give it everything you got, because at the end of the day, if you're putting it all out there, you can't be mad at yourself. That easy.
One of the worst feelings, definitely just that kind of what if of like, damn, I could have done that. I wonder what would have happened if I did. And like, then you're stuck, spent the rest of your life just wondering what could have happened, but
exactly
how far you could have gone and shit.
Got to take risks, got to, experiment with things, got to like just get out there, put yourself in situations that make you uncomfortable. Because if you can, I believe, I think it was David Goggins that said this. It was like, you need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And it's an amazing quote, because if you can be uncomfortable and then get comfortable with that feeling, you can do anything you want to. And that's how I was like on stage. I was like, I just have to grip this, because I have stage fright like crazy. And I get up there and I'm like shaking and my hands are all like twitching and stuff. And I'm like, dude, just own it. Just love what you're doing and just get out there, put everything you got on the table. And that's what I do. And being comfortable with being uncomfortable is just the vibe. That's how you got to do it. And if you do it with everything you do, you won't fail.
Fuck yeah, no, that's definitely shit. needs to be said more, I feel like more people need to hear that and be, okay with the situation where, it could have potential, big growth or something, but maybe there's like, I don't think, it's good enough, or I don't think I'm good enough or something, and then they don't do it, and could miss out on something huge. But yeah, no, it's definitely wise words that people need to kind of hear more.
Yeah, and that's the other thing with the music community is I know a lot of people who really, really struggle with that stuff, and it like affects them on a level that's just like scary. And it's like, I guess this is just kind of a message to everybody out there. Like if you're out there and you're feeling that way, I just can tell you that like you got friends out there that want to be around you and all that, and they care about you and all that stuff. And I'm not saying, oh, I'm gonna, do anything crazy, but that feeling, it hurts. And I know what that feels like. And you just have to tell yourself, I'm good enough. I can do this. That's it. If you repeat that stuff to yourself over and over and over again, you'll eventually go crazy enough to start believe it. And it's a great tool that works in a lot of different areas of your life, which has helped me be successful in things that I'm trying to do, or partially successful, or meet the end goal, or get to where I want to be, just because, hey, I told myself I can be successful. I can do this. And if you can tell yourself that and believe it, no one can stop you.
Oh yeah. Fuck yeah. Kind of, yeah, leading into that a little bit. So for the last question, if you're not already, at what point will you be content with your music career?
That's a really tricky question, honestly.
That's
There's
the
a lot of
usual response I get to that one.
that's I would say content with my music career, never, because you will always be able to develop your mind, which means you can always develop your music and get better. I don't think those guys at the top of the food pole got there because they're like, or food chain, sorry. I don't think they got to the top of the food chain because they sat there and were like, yeah, it's okay. They sat there because they're like, oh yeah, 15.6K needs to be cut just like a little bit. And then it needs to make room for this tiny little percussion that I have in the stereo field over here. And like all these tiny little things, like these little micro things that people really focus on, is like that constant grind. And every producer out there knows that you'll never master production because it's constantly evolving. Therefore, if something's evolving, you can evolve with it. And since music will never stop evolving, you will always be able to grow. And that's kind of how I look at that. So I'll never be content with my music or my music career, because I know that it can just constantly get better and better and better and better. And, when people look at that and they're like, well, you'll get a, what if you could buy like a mansion one day? Or like, what if you could have like a Lamborghini or something? It's like, cool. Those are material things. Those are what I honestly, like, if I ever got to that point, I'd want a normal house and I'd want a normal car.
Yeah.
If I have a really nice music setup, I'm good. But at the end of the day, it's like, I think, that's just how you got to look at it. So yeah, I don't think I'll ever be content with it. I'll enjoy it along the way. That's for sure.
Yeah.
There'll never be a point where I stop.
Nice. No, that's definitely, I know I keep saying it, but like definitely motivational words that I'm glad that like getting these responses. I've just kind of struggled. Like I'm asking questions, for on behalf of, everyone watching, but also on behalf of myself, stuff I struggle with, stuff I'm like, wonder how other people handle this kind of situation. And yeah, no, it's just dope that you took the time to do all this and answer all these questions really in depth, and had I guess you could say like, yeah, real touching responses and stuff, and definitely hope someone out there is watching this and is just like,
yeah, I hope so.
I can fucking do this. Like, damn, yeah,
no,
he's
absolutely
right. Let's do this.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say that, but like a lot of my uh, small successes in this industry have come from, people like my friends over at Cyberblock Collective. That's a new
Mm-hmm.
collective kind of starting up. I'm going to plug them right now because these guys are awesome, man. Like it's a collective of artists, but also like visual artists, photographers, graphic designers, and I think we're really onto some groundbreaking stuff with the crypto side of it, and the
Mm-hmm.
NFTs and all that kind of stuff. And Jordan over there, who kind of brought me onto the collective, has been one of the biggest helps to my music project right now. So if we're talking about, hey, I can do it, hey, I can be successful, hey, I can do these things, like that group of people over there at Cyberblock has like helped me tremendously. And I was kind of skeptical about joining a collective because I was like, oh, I'm a solo project, I don't know if I want to do that. But
Mm-hmm.
like the help of other people is also something you need to like understand. It's like, well, if you're a solo project, you can never go wrong with getting help or getting feedback or understanding that you are a part of a bigger thing called the music scene, where
Yeah.
everybody needs to get along and everybody needs to kind of vibe together. And if you can meet all these cool people and have them support you, you support them. I mean, the possibilities are just so endless. And with the Cyberblock guys, man, they've really given me a lot to be thankful for. And same thing with all my artist friends, they're just
Mm-hmm.
awesome. And, shout out to all of them. And they'll know who they are. But
Yeah.
it's pretty cool, man. I really enjoy all of this, and I appreciate you for the opportunity to finally
Oh
to
yeah.
finally get this going. And I had it was nice hearing some really thought out questions.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh
awesome, man.
yeah.
Good on you for running the whole thing you do.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I'm definitely trying to go for that kind of collective community vibe as well. Me and my other homie Nick, who kind of co-runs this I guess you could say not necessarily brand yet, but group. We threw a festival out in Cali, had some people come out to it. Like Bass Tactic played,
Oh, cool.
Scafetta was
Oh,
there.
very cool.
Yeah, no, it's a dope little lineup. And yeah, no, definitely just want to like build a community. Our saying is big festival vibes, small festival community.
Very
It's kind of
cool.
like what we're trying to go for, and just grab as many of the underground guys as we can and give them more spotlight, more time to talk about it. There's so many sudden
Yeah.
death interviews or something, but
But there's so many talented underground producers, like people you like 100 followers, 50 followers out there, and they're just making this banging music. And I'm just like,
absolutely
who
crazy.
are you, dude? Like, oh, I just started. You're like, what? Like,
Yeah,
blowing my mind completely on production and everything. And it's just always like another reason to be like, wow, I really got to put in that work. Because if that kid can do it at like 20 years old and he's already that good, I need to step my game up because
yeah.
I'm slacking. So yeah, man. No, it's I understand. Yeah, what you're going for is awesome. So wish
Oh
you the
yeah.
best of luck with all of it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who tuned in and watched. We will definitely be back next week. Already kind of got something in the works going on, but yeah, we'll for sure be back next week. Thank you all for watching.
Thanks, guys.
Boom. I think we saved it. Oh, there it is.